So before we begin, Sandeep sir, I did saw that encryption thing,
Hmm.
and there's nothing at this moment. I did try some of the scenarios, and I was thinking that that code unit will support, but there's nothing at this moment. It seems.
Yeah, it's a bit typical.
Yeah. Okay. So the other thing that we talked about last week, and we thought we'll play around with it in the next meeting, is about the OpenAI or ChatGPT 4, ChatGPT more or less, and try to build a small extension in Business Central which utilizes it. The info that I have till now is that once you get into ChatGPT 4, you get a personal account. There is a lot of documentation available for APIs, developers, examples, and all. And then it's not free. That's not surprising to me. But after a point, there is a price based on which model you are using. And we'll come to that in a while. So let me hop into my Business Central. And this is just an empty project this moment. Let's delete this and let me change the numbers so that I don't overwrite anything that I have already. And now let's create a page more or less. If it is smaller in viewing, let me know. I'll increase the size. Hmm, uh, okay. SDH demo GPT. Okay. There's no table. Let's make it as a card and let's just add two fields into it just to keep it simple. That is input text per question and then also a output text. Okay. So in this, let's add two fields. Thank you. I actually need input text here and you didn't like what you added, but okay. Application area caption. Okay, that sounds fair. Oh, sorry, it was suggesting something. Okay, it did went a little bit extra into it. I'll just remove this. Writing everything and multi-line. I'll keep it editable. By default, it's editable more or less. Let's see any other suggestions. My AI there. Yes. Okay. So the idea is that we'll ask for an input and we'll get an output. So it's a card page and it's in users category as tasks so that we can see that. What else we need? Let's set this page on the startup. Okay, we have the basic framework more or less, and then we need an action to call ChatGPT. So let's add an action area. Any suggestions, my friend? Okay, sounds good. Area is not supported. Okay, what is that? Let's say creation. Generate output text or not that. Get response. And let's click on this and paste it here. Application area added image. I don't need action. We'll decide that what happens at that point. Okay. So coming back to our documentation. So here they have everything from the perspective of how we need to call this. And let me go exactly where there is a API reference. Okay, chat. So we all know that uh, ChatGPT or OpenAPI has so many things to offer, which they call in the language as models. And that's one of the first important parameter that you need to define while sending a request to this open API. The first thing that you need to send in the body is model, which is required. So that's important. And then that means you're targeting a specific open API endpoint, more or less. So what are different models? I was reading while you guys were joining. These are the different models that are available in open API, AI API framework. One is GPT-4 that we all know. Then there is GPT 3.5 earlier, Delhi, which is used for images editing, Whisper, which converts your audio into text. Then there is embedding, and then GPT-3 and Codex, which is deprecated, it seems. So more or less, we have these at this moment available as the different models. While using these models, we will have to come to this section to identify what is the latest model that is available at this moment. And then inside each of these models, there are kind of sub models, more or less. So like this one is to receive update and will be deprecated. Okay, that's deprecated. Okay, what is this? Text DaVinci 003 can do any language task with better quality, longer output, consistent instruction following than QL package and ADA models. Also support inserting completions within text. So these are the different kind of models that we can use while calling this API. So that's the first parameter in the body that we need to pass, which is what model we are using, like this. The other parameter that we need is the message, which typically means what you are sending to ChatGPT. Then there is a role, which seems to be required. Okay, now it is passing the role. Message role as user. Okay, and one of the system user or assistant. Then content, the content of the message. And then there are some optional parameter like temperature. What is this temperature? What sampling temperature to use between 0 to 2. Higher the value like 0.8 will make the output more random, while lower value 0.02 will make it more focused and deterministic. Okay. And then there are other optional parameters, more or less. So before we call this command to get output from the ChatGPT, we surely have to do some kind of authentication. In this case of authentication, it uses a bearer plus a API key. Now, it is not using OAuth, which makes sense, but it is using Open API key, which you can get from your account here and then get into view API keys. As you can see, there is already a key that I've created. You can create new keys and you can name it, let's say demo, and then create a new secret, which you'll only see this time while this being generated. So keep a safe copy of it so that you don't lose it and will not be accessible after this point. You have the right to kind of remove it whenever you want in your account. But as I said in the beginning, that because it is chargeable or billable, more or less, whatever you want to call it, there's a quota that you get when you open your ChatGPT account. And if you guys have already played with it, you might have ran out of it like I did. So back in the day, there was a grant given for $18, which expired for me on May 1. But then I have another account where I still have the money left. Sorry. But now if you try to create the account, it only gives you $5,000 only. So when you're planning to do this, make sure that you still have the free grant available. Otherwise, I was checking about the pricing. It bills you monthly, and when you switch your account, it kind of gets into a $5 lock. So like, I guess here it is. No, not here. Not this. Set up a paid account. Yeah. So once you click on that to set up a paid account, it asks you for your card information as usual, and it'll put a $5 block or hold on your account, which as per them will be returned after 7 days or reverse after 7 days. And then they will charge you at the end of each calendar month based on your uses that happened during the past month. Whatever I was able to learn from reading some articles, it's not that expensive if you're not using it for so many queries and all. Like if you see, I used ChatGPT for a while and I was only able to utilize, I don't know, pretty less out of $18. And I'll have to see when I use that. I don't even remember when I used that, I guess. Somewhere in the past, I did use it, and that's the only part that it seems that I've used it. Okay. But not to deflect from that, let's get back to where we were on our documentation about API, and let's start doing that. Okay, so we know that there is an authorization, and we know a more or less a rough syntax about how to call this. So we'll utilize that. So let's add a code unit here. For CH open AI management. Okay, now the first thing that we want to do is to pass an input and then try to set up these parameters as defined in that particular link or article that's available on the web. So let's create a procedure. Okay, and it cannot be local, and we'll say get response from ChatGPT. Okay, we will pass it a input text, which will come from that page, and we will return it a response or output. Okay, let's call it response to kind of keep it simple. API language. So we'll call this method from our page to get response from ChatGPT, which will accept an input and will return a response more or less as that. So now what we need to do is we need to set up the body that we are sending. So let's see where the body is. Okay. So here's the request body, which requires a model as we talked through. So let's go back in here and let's try to set up the body for it. So as we know that we can pass things from JSON, so let's do a JSON object, GPT JSON request. Let's see, and JSON object. Now inside this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding the different parameters as needed. The first one is model. So let's pass that in. And let's pick one of the model that's available here. Oh, we have selected this. Let's try this. We'll change this and see what happens. Okay. Let's pass this model here. Another thing that we saw, which seems important, is or next is, let me keep adding this, whatever the number of parameters that are needed on the body. Okay, so now we have done the model. The next one that comes is message. We'll define that. And then, okay, where is the prompt? Because that's what needed to kind of pass it when I was reading about it. Oh, here it is, create compilation. Okay. So request body, we have defined the model. Next is prompt, which is a string of array, which is optional, but you need to give this as what will be sent to the chat GPT from while calling this API. Now in this, we would like to, oh, it understand that we would like to pass input. So we have passed the prompt as input, which will be on there. Then there is max token, the maximum number of tokens generated into compilation. The token count of your prompt plus max token cannot exceed with model context. Okay. I don't think that's important. So let's leave it. We surely would like to play with the temperature to see how easy, oh, sorry, how relevant info that it passes or how random info it passes. So let's set up the temperature. And what we want to do first, keep it low. Yeah, let's keep it low. 0.2, let's say. I guess that's all that we want to pass in the request body of it. And then we need to, once we have identified and added these into this, we also need to write it to a text to kind of pass it from there, because whatever will go into HTTP content, because that's what will go out. So let's create one HTTP content. Let's say content, which will be passed out. HTTP content. To add anything into the content that is going out, this array, I need to use write from, and it accepts a text. And what else? It accepts a text and it also accepts in stream. So it only accepts two kind of input. One is a text and one is in stream. We surely don't have an in stream at this moment, so we will have to rely on the texting. So now what we do is we call this as GPT JSON text as text. And I'm sure that I can write the JSON. Let's call it body. We are adding it into the body here, right? So let me call it as GPT body. Okay. I should be able to do a GPT body dot write to, and then in the write to, I think there are multiple overloads into it, if I'm not wrong. It can write to a string, it can write to a stream, it can also write to a string and our string. That's the same thing. So let's write into the this text. Now, once it is into the text, I can then pass it into my content that is going out, HTTP content. What we have done is we have defined the body as per the model that they said. The next thing that we are worried about is the header. And where is header? Okay, so it says for the header that you need to pass authentication for sure. And what else? You need to define the content type, authorization. Anything else here? Hmm. Where is the header details? Hmm. This is header and this is header. But where okay, so in authorization, I pass my key. Let's try that. So let's go back and try to add a header into it. Or maybe let's move all this to a function just to keep it simple. Set body. Okay, this is the body, and then I need this to go back because that will be used there. Okay, so let's make that content here also. And let's pass this. The body will be set with this by passing the content which we are trying to send there. Now let's, as we are doing it for the body, let's also set the header here. Set header, and we will need the same content at this moment. So let's try creating that procedure. Okay. Local procedure set header and okay. Let's pass this. What this set header will do, will just sets the parameter that we need, which is that it'll have an header parameter here. Header, HTTP headers, thank you. And then in the content, there should be a get header, which kind of gets you the default header that's there. Why this is not supported? HTTP headers. Okay. I get the default header, which is empty more or less. And then we can start setting it up. So header dot clear, which will remove anything that comes by default. And then we can start adding anything into it. So the first thing that it says, you need to define the content type as application JSON that you're using. So let's add that. Okay, single brackets, remove this, comma this, and this. All right, so I've defined the thing. Now for authorization, I need to add another thing, which is authorization. Okay, here for authorization, I need to get my key. So let me find that where my key is. Okay, let me see if I still have that account open somewhere. And let me see if I can go and get my key. And I'm just doing on another screen. And I'll delete that key going forward, or let me put it here. Okay, so I'm creating a new secret right now, and I'm saying demo. I have $5 on this one, free account more or less. Let me copy this and let's do done. Okay, I'll delete this key after this demo. So anybody who's watching this, don't try to use this key, but this will no longer be available after this demo. Okay, so now we have the key that we need to interact. And what we have to do is we have to add this key with the word, what is that? Bearer and then space. Okay. So let's do that here. Bearer. And then it knows that I need to pass my API key. Nice. Okay. So this should add the key into my header. Now once I have done that, I think what I was reading somewhere else also that I also need to pass something else, but let's see. We'll just try with that. So we have defined this, we have defined most of it, we have defined the header, we have defined the other part of the header. Okay. Now the authorization value is added, the content type is added, and this header need to go back for the request message to be passed to my API. For that, I'll need a HTTP request message here. Okay, that kind of gets filled in here. Also means that I will set that request message header here. And to pass this to my request message, I did add the content type and then content, set content, get headers. Okay, this header, header. What I'm doing here is I'm getting the header that is assigned here and then assigning it to it. I guess this is how I did it when I was doing the SharePoint thing. We were doing the SharePoint thing in the past. Now setting it to the header.
Did we use HTTP client to set the headers, default headers?
Uh, yeah, I guess. Right.
Let me find an example.
Okay, yeah. While you're doing that, I guess we'll move ahead and see what else is here. So now we have the content that we need to pass. We have the uh, request that's coming in, which is this with the, so we have the body, we have the request message, which is more or less the header. And then a post typically goes into a response that comes out of it, right? So if we try right now to try to do a post into it, what we'll be doing here is we'll be calling now the HTTP client, I guess. So let's do a client of HTTP client. And then we need to get the content from the request, which is the HTTP request message. So request message will have the content. So let's keep it simple maybe. Let me change it to request. At this point, I can set my request dot content because I have the header set into the request, but I can set it from the content which is set in the body, which is this. And once I have set this, then I need to call my method to set request URI if I'm not wrong. So the URI that is used for HTTP request. Okay, what is that? Hmm. Okay, it seems to know it, but I just want to verify it. I'll just copy, accept what my co-pilot is suggesting. but I need to go and see where I need to call this. And I'm doing the V1 compilations, and this is what we are referring to. And the command or the API endpoint is this V1 compilations. So let me copy this, go back to VS Code and set this here. It more or less suggested everything correctly, more or less, seems. But okay. And what is the method type? It says post. So we need to define the request dot method type as post. Now we need to send that to the client as in that request, and that's pretty simple as we were talking about. We can do a client.send request and response, which means the response will be returned from it. That means I need to define a response somewhere. HTTP response message will come and set into my response. I think client.send request returns a boolean. Yes, so I can say if it does not return true, then we can generate an error. Okay, let's hope this is what. Okay, it does not like it. So error sending request. Okay, there should be a last error message. Hopefully, let's see. Client dot get no error no. Okay, response dot come on. Response is not a text. Oh, I have
Response
two
message.
responses.
Response message will come now.
Yeah, I need
HTTP response
to.
message.
Yeah, I need to name the. I have two variables. See, response message. Let's see. I need to pass this to response message, and then response message should have something for me. Reason phrase. No, success code.
Content
HTTP
dot read as. Content dot read as.
content dot read as, and it will write into a text, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Read as error text. Let's say. Okay. So this read as will write and return a boolean, not so. I'll have to kind of cut this. If not, then do this, and then let's do a begin because there are multiple line. I just want to show the error if something goes wrong, and then my error text comes here. Okay. So I'll be able to read the error into it. But if the response kind of, but
We,
a
we have to
send,
store the response in the output text now.
yes, because I guess I was dealing with right now in a situation where the send is a failure. So maybe just should have done that response that error code, right? Response message dot HTTP status code just to show what the error is. I don't have to do this as in I'll have to do it to read the response out of it. This will just be in case the call fails, more or less for that.
Yes.
Now we need to read the response as I guess I was moving a little bit ahead in my game. But let's see the response message dot content as you're saying dot read as, and then let's do it on the response. So this will write whatever the response back into this variable. Okay, so we have set uh, the key, we have set the model, we have set the prompt, we have also set the input, I guess, somewhere in the body. Anything else that seems missing? Hmm, how would be the response? Let's see what the response comes out, and then we'll build the response reading if needed. So here, let's create this variable for this code unit. Okay, thank you. What happened? Why it tries to think and then does not come up with the right thing? Okay, and then input text and output text. Okay, and that just sets the output text hopefully. So let me see if my business central is running there or not. I guess I have it here. Okay, so let's come back here and let's try to publish this to see what happens. Now this, the uses that I can think of it is more or less to be a chatbot to get answers, or to maybe add into the tooltip or things like that. But then when I think about DALI and other open API that's available, that can be used to be creative images that you need, I guess. So okay, let's see what we should ask it. What is
What is Business
ChatGPT?
Central?
Okay, let's do that. What is Business Central? And try to get the response. And okay, always allow. Okay, I have an error message. Uh-oh, this is about my quota. Why? I'm already on a new plan today. Maybe I need to start paying for it somehow. $5, maybe 300 rupees, something like that. You exceeded your current quota. Please check your plan and billing details. Type insufficient quota. So that means it made a call, more or less. But
How
where
much
it
time does it
failed.
take to create an account?
Ah, just you need to log into ChatGPT side, and then you just need to key in your mobile number and an email ID, I guess, and that's it. But why it did not allow me to do that? Because I actually had an account. Am I going to the right? Oh, maybe I didn't went to the right one. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me generate one more key. I I had so many, I guess, and most of the account I kind of failed. So I'll just change it. Maybe that'll work. I'm just changing my key here. Okay. Let me try to publish it again. Hopefully this works this time. Okay. Come on. Uh-oh, it went to a different landing page. Let me try to search here. That app should have been published here, not there. Just sometime kind of, because if you have another browser open and you're connecting to Sandbox, it directly goes to the browser that's open. Okay, Let's search for that. And okay, your asking word is Business Central. Okay. Something came, not in the format that I expected, but that's okay. I guess we knew that something we haven't done correctly. It says, what it says, ID, object at compilation, create this, and text is here. Okay, so there is an array inside it called choices. Inside that, there is a text, and that text is telling you what the written value is. I guess it is. It is what it is asking, right? Business Central is a cloud-based business management solution from Microsoft, and then it ended. Why?
Finish reason is equal to length. That's in the text.
Sorry, let me open that again. Where is that?
So
Finish
where
reason
you
is
have
equal
highlighted,
to
yes,
length.
length. So it must be returning some 30 characters, some 40, 50, whatever.
And why is that? Wait a minute. Let's go back to our code. First, we need to decipher this by looking at into the choices array from whatever is being written, and then reading the text that's into it, and then we'll come into this length issue, I guess. So let's go back to our code. So at this point, we have the response with us. Now we need to kind of parse this response. So let's try to create something to kind of read the response that we have, which is into the response text. And before that, I guess, let me store it into response text rather than passing it directly. So this comes into response text. And then let's create a function called parse response text. The response text, and then it kind of puts it into the response more or less. Okay, let's create a procedure. Okay, it did not like that. Why? Okay, here it is, and we'll return the response from it. As simple as that. Now we have the response text with us because we have read from this. So at this point, it is a text. So then what we do?
We can use JSON token.
Or should we
And
do an
JSON
object,
object.
because then JSON
JSON object
object,
and
because
JSON
then
token.
yeah,
Yeah.
because then this whole becomes a JSON object, and then we can read through it, right? So let's do a var of JSON object for response that we received called JSON object. Then we can say that whatever is coming in the response text, get it into or read it from more or less from the response text, because read from does that. Now I have the whole input output that came from ChatGPT into the response. Now in this, I need to focus on the choices section because that will give me what I want. And I'm pretty sure that I can do a get in this. Is on object response dot get, and then I just need to know the key that I would like to get. Oh, it knows so many things, I guess. My AI pair, but I'll still go and type it, which is choices. Okay. You have to get the choices, and then the get also gives me an option to get the result into a token, as you were saying, sir. So let's create a JSON token response, a JSON token. Okay. So if the choices is found, then it kind of gets into the result gets stored into my JSON token response. If that happens, which it should, if the query is successful and there is an output coming from ChatGPT, then I need to kind of parse it now. Now inside this, what is there? Inside this choices, there is an array, JSON array. And that array ends where? Here. Yes. So I can put all this into an
So you can
array.
put token into JSON object and again get the specific value that you want, that text.
So right now I have this into it, right?
Yes. So that's what how I do it is then I will put this choices, this JSON token into JSON object, and then again fetch text is the value that I want from it. So I will again do a get.
But it's an array. It can have multiple values, right?
Yeah. Then obviously we can have that repeated loop.
Uh, I guess the way I was thinking about it, and let's try that. I'll create an array, and once I have the array, I know that the output of this will be an array. So I can do a JSON array response from my token that has been received as array. So now this automatically kind of built into this array. And now I know for a fact that this array at the zero index, because let's copy this so that others can also understand it who have not dealt with JSONs and all. Sometimes it gets confusing. So let's search for a JSON beautifier. Once you're here, let's load whatever the string that we have. And okay, let me load everything. Sometimes it doesn't like if I do half baked things. Okay. Okay. And let's beautify this. Where is the problem? Bad string. Why there is a bad string?
Can you copy it from the business center directly?
Yeah, let's do that, I guess, because I played around with that. Okay, so here it is. Let's do a beautify. So this is how it looks like. So at this point, the array kind of ends here for this. And I know that at my zero level, hopefully, I'll get the that particular choice option that I need because that's kind of indexed at zero. So let's try doing that. Once I have it into the array, I can get again from the array if I know the index. And then if I know the index, which is zero in my case, and I know that it is the token choices more or less. So instead of writing it here, let's do a similar kind of thing. So now I have this at the index zero. And then as you are saying, I'll also have to do an object. There's no other way, I guess. So let's create a JSON object choice of type JSON object. Now in this, I can put whatever I'm getting from my array index. JSON array response or JSON array choice.
JSON token choice dot readers, maybe.
Now it's again now because I was putting it on an
Yeah,
object, right? So it's an object
yeah.
now, and then as you were saying, now we can do a object choices, whatever I have got choice, and now I can do a get of text, I guess it was the text. Yes, text. And then that text kind of sits into my a response or res text value. Let's say now this becomes a text. Hopefully that decides it. No, it needs a token. So let's do it as a text token. JSON token. And then from this token, I'll have to write it back to the text, I guess. I have it in the token. And now I can do a response, which I want to reply or return from my JSON or result text JSON. Okay.
You can
JSON
write
token.
JSON token dot write also, no?
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah,
I can just directly write into it. Yeah. It gives me into
and it does
text
the same
and
thing.
yeah, it's one. It'll be inside the parameter rather than outside. So this will return me the response that I would like to send back to my page. Okay. So let's hold in here and let's try to publish this one. Okay. I guess more time goes into reading the responses that are coming back from these API calls rather than sending requests. Sending requests is more or less easy if you know what is going into different sections of your request. So let's try
It's
again.
again, it's again the question of knowing. That's all, and practice.
Yeah. Okay. So Business Central is a cloud base in all-in-one business and nothing else. So now we come back to the situation where we had the finish reason is length. Is there anything on the documentation about it? Let me open the documentation section where we were. Are we here? Yeah. So we did assign the prompt. Yes, we did assign the suffix. No, we did not. The suffix that comes up.
Simply
No, we
search
did
for
not.
length. There must be a
Is this
parameter
it?
for it.
Is this it? The maximum number of token? The token count is promoted. Max token cannot exceed the mode. No. Oh, you said. Oh, sorry. I saw something just right now. Before I click. Long probe. For example, long probe is 5. The API will return a list of 5 most likely token. Okay, that's just something else. You said search for length. Finish region length. Did we have the same finish region? Let me see. Finish region length. Yeah. I can see that the maximum number of token to generate in the compilation, the token count of a prompt plus max token cannot exceed the maximum length. Most models have a context length of 2048, except the newest model which supports 4096. Okay, one, two. Prompt. Okay, so in the prompt you can just send, oh, this is create image. No, I'm not into images, I'm into compilation. Okay. So okay, in the body we set the model, we set the prompt. Maybe let's set the max token. What is this max token? It seems that the token count promotes, let's see, the maximum number of token. The GPT family processes text using tokens. Okay, the model understands relationship between tokens and this. You can use it tokenize. Okay, let's see. Let's copy the result that's generated from it. How many tokens are there in this one? Token 14 characters 54. And what does the token set? It defaults to 16. Maybe because there was something else that we saw, right? It or something. It. So
This is
this
a
is the
different
difference.
response that we have got.
This is the earlier
Earlier we
response,
got a
right?
different response. Yeah.
So this
Again,
equals,
token is still 14.
yeah, token is still 14. Let's play with this. That you can pass 2048 in the length. So let's try the max token into it. Into our, where it gets added? Body. Okay. Let's come back to our code where we are setting the body here. Let's define GPT body dot add. It remembers me. Okay. 2048. Let's see whatever the max I guess the model have. It also I guess is a limit defined at the model level. So I guess if it fails, we know that this model, this particular model, does not support these many characters or tokens, more or less at this point. Okay. Oh, here I need to get it published here, not there. Copy the question. And let's see what happens. Okay. That was token, sir.
Okay.
Now we have the response like this. Business Central is a cloud-based all-in-one business management solution with Microsoft. Any other questions that you want to ask us? Okay. I was just playing with it, but now think about where we can use it as an with this model in within Business Central is I guess would be my question. We just wanted to do it because it was an API and we wanted to play with the API. But now think about it. What are the use cases of it in Business Central?
Well, first, you'll have to somehow give it access to the data, right? Because Business Central is all about data.
You'll have to send the data in that case, I guess. Because
So
Like, let's say you ask it a question, what was, what customer had the highest sales last week, for instance?
but it is not interacting with your database.
I
It's a
know,
chatbot. Yeah.
right. But if it can't interact with your data, then it's, you know, it's not relevant within Business Central as far as being helpful.
Makes sense. Sandeep sir, you were saying something?
yeah, the only use can be somebody if using uh, it on the call center or somewhere front end task where they might have to answer generic questions. That is where you can use it. Otherwise, like when John is saying that we don't have, if ChatGPT cannot read the data, then it can't help you with the.
You
Yeah.
could, like, the example that you made is just a simple question and answer, but if you put it in the context of like a tooltip, then it would know to perhaps, augment the tooltip to actually give detailed instructions, for instance, on how to post sales code or something.
Can we ask a simple question like, say, download Business Central, or what is sales order in Business Central?
Yeah, I guess that can be asked. And I guess that's the only area that you can kind of tie it in your inside your client, right? Where it kind of act as a help feature in your Business Central pages, I guess. So the response here is, and let me go into not bad. Sales order is a document that records detail of customer, order of goods or services, customer, item, quantity, price, and total cost. Any discount or service order. Yeah, I guess from a use case perspective, I guess I totally agree that I don't think that that's a use case without the data. And I don't think that you can send the data. Like, what is this? A data set. And again, there are different models available. There are different kind of AI available. So like there is an image API, right? Image AI. Now, when you call this, you can ask for an image of your item. Let's say, give me a picture of Ethan desk, and it can generate a picture for you. Audio is more or less converting it to text. Files, I don't know about the files. I haven't used the files option ever.
I'm sorry, I will drop.
Okay, yeah, it's time, I guess. But think about it. If you think about any possible situation where we can use it, that'll be great. Otherwise, it was just a fun exercise. I guess we were just trying to see how we can consume that API.
Yeah.
So thank you, I guess. And if there's something pops up in your mind during this week, let me know that we need to discuss next week, and we'll do that.
Thanks, Saurabh.
Thanks,
you.
Saurav. Bye.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Fazan.